Hello, I'm Josie Wales and welcome to this combat mission final Blitzkrieg after action report. This mission is called the Battle for Chaumont Part 2, although I've called it in my description the second Battle for Chaumont because I've made it in two parts and didn't want to create any further confusion. This was a single player mission against the AI using the new version 4.0 of the game engine. Before we get into the AAR, I'd just like to thank everybody for all their comments and likes. My YouTube channel over the last couple of months has been getting quite a bit busier. And I'd also like to welcome and thank all you new subscribers. So without further ado, let's get back to the AAR. After all, that's why you're here. And let's start with the MET, TC and OCOKA analysis. The mission is to recapture the hamlet of Chaumont. We are starting at the north end of the map and we are looking out across to the south. There are 6 objectives on the map. The 3 towards our start position are based around the hamlet of Grandue, which we currently hold, and we are to push into Chaumont and take the 3 objectives there. We have 80 minutes to complete the objectives. Enemy forces appear to be a reinforced US motorised infantry company with a large number of Sherman tanks in support. The terrain is rural farmland interspersed with some heavily wooded areas. The hamlets of Grandue and Chaumont run from the north to the centre of the map. The conditions are clear, freezing, patchy snow, wind is moderate from the west. It is 1600 hours on the 23rd of December 1944 and elements of 1st Battalion, 14th Regiment, 5th Fallschirmjager Division have been involved in heavy fighting with American elements earlier on in the day. In the centre, Grandue is currently being held by a seriously understrength Fallschirmjager company. It consists of 2 very depleted platoons and some support assets. On the left, tucked under Hill 490, are the main reinforcements to help relieve the Fallschirmjägers. These consist of 1st Company Pioneer Battalion 26th Volksgrenadier Division. This company consists of 3 Pioneer platoons, 2 heavy machine guns, 3 flamethrowers and a forward observer team. Also up here are the 11th Assault Gun Brigade, consisting of a total of 11 Sturmgeschütz 3 arranged into 3 platoons. On the road are 3 trucks, each towing a 75mm Pak 40 anti-tank gun. And lastly, I have 1 Jagdpanzer platoon, which I've divided into 2 sections, 2 on the left and 2 in Bois d'Aubert on the right. The Fallschirmjäger in Grandue have 2 81mm on-map mortars, and off-map there is a battery of 4 105mm guns. So let's look at the terrain in a bit more detail using the acronym OCOKA. There are 3 main hills on the map which get good observation. Hill 490 is near my start position and allows me good observation south and southwest. Hill 480 gives the enemy good observation north and northwest. And over on the right, the hill where the wood Bois and Hubert sits gives good observation to the southeast. On the right, the terrain is generally quite open, however the terrain is undulating, providing some pockets of concealment. In the centre there are buildings and trees heading all the way into the centre of Chaumont, and on my left the Bois Chaumont is the most obvious cover and concealment. Potential obstacles to my armour and vehicles are the stream running off to the southeast and the wooded areas themselves. There are 3 pieces of key terrain that I have located on this map. The first is KT 490, which is on Hill 490. Not only does this give me good observation to the south and southwest, but it also allows me cover and concealment as it is actually a crest of a hill, and I can position units so that they are covered by that crest. The second is KT Bois Chaumont. This provides good concealment for any movement of infantry towards Chaumont, located in the centre of the map. And finally, on the right, KT Bois and Hubert. Not only do the woods here provide good concealment, but because it's on a hill, there is good observation to the southeast. The Pioneer Company will move down into the wooded area of Bois Chaumont. Before that happens though, I will use my armour to take out as much of the enemy armour as possible. Once the Pioneer Company have moved through these woods, they will be then ready to assault into Chaumont centre itself. It is imperative for my armour to destroy as much of the enemy armour from up here as possible. After that, my armour will move down towards Chaumont North, keeping to the right side of the woods. I do not know if these streams are boggy and whether they will immobilise tracked and wheeled vehicles. If it does prove to be too boggy, there is a bridge further to the rear that I can use to cross my armour. The Fallschirmjager in Grandue will move south using the buildings and trees to enter Chaumont North. They will not move, however, until the enemy armour has been severely depleted. On the right, the 2nd Jagdpanzer section will be moving through Bois Saint-Hubert. The platoon leader is with this section. They will be using the tracks through the woods so as to not risk being immobilised. Once they get on the other side of the woods, they will be able to get eyes to the southeast. Once that is clear, they may well be able to move on Chaumont from the east. On the left, the Stug battery moves into overwatch positions facing south on Hill 490. An unknown contact hit one Stug from 2nd Platoon, damaging the main gun and MG. One Jagdpanzer section take up held down positions looking southwest. Forward observer and one pioneer team moved to the crest to try and spot what hit the Stug. In the centre in Grandue, the Fallschirmjager gets spots on multiple armoured platoons. A Sherman platoon is spotted in Chaumont North. A half track in the centre of Chaumont. Another Sherman platoon is spotted 1.5 kilometres away southwest of Chaumont South. A third Sherman platoon is spotted close by, southwest of Grandue. The unbuttoned commanders are too tempting a target for the machine gunners. As the Shermans lay the smokescreen, the HMG team pack up before the tanks can return fire. Two Panzerschreck teams take up forward positions in Grandue. On the right, two Jagdpanzer sections navigate the narrow lanes through Bois Saint-Hubert. And emerge on the southern side of the woods. One spots the far Sherman platoon and lines up to fire. One section Jagdpanzer see the flashes and join in. This platoon has been neutralised. Enemy half-tracks are spotted around Chaumont South. The Fallschirmjager are still holding positions in Grandue, and the Pioneer Company are still holding their position on Hill 490 until the enemy armour has been destroyed. The 3rd Sherman platoon near Grandue spots my 1st section Jagdpanzers. 2nd Platoon Stugs moved to support the Jagdpanzers. Two of the 3 Shermans in this platoon have been destroyed. The 3rd one has pulled back somewhere. On the right, 2 Saxon Jagdpanzer start to manoeuvre out of Bois-Saint-Hubert. On the left, the Pioneer team and forward observer crest Hill 490 and spot a 4th Sherman platoon on Hill 480, 1 kilometre to the south. Strategic Update 1, 16:12 hours, 12 minutes into battle. On the left, 1 section Jagdpanzer and 2nd Platoon Stugs have been engaging Sherman targets to the southwest. The remaining Stugs have been kept below the crest of Hill 490 due to the threat posed by the Shermans on Hill 480 in the top left. In the centre, in Grandue, the Fallschirmjager are holding their positions. And on the right, 2 Jagdpanzer sections have emerged from the woods and are covering to the southeast. At this point, I have killed 5 Sherman tanks for the loss of 1 Stug, with an additional Stug with its main gun and machine gun damaged. This leaves me 9 operational Stugs and the Jagdpanzer platoon. In Chaumont North, I have spotted 1 armoured platoon consisting of 4 Shermans. I'm going to use these superior numbers to do a direct armoured assault into Chaumont North. At the same time, I'm going to use 2 Jagdpanzer section to attack Chaumont North from the west. For now, I'm going to ignore the Sherman platoon on Hill 480 as it does not have eyes into the AO. The aim is to destroy the last Sherman near Grandue, which is snuck out of sight, and all 4 Shermans in Chaumont North. 2 Jagdpanzer section moved forward using alternate bounding. They spot the straggler from the earlier fight. This attracts fire from the south. 5th Sherman platoon. They also attract fire from Chaumont North. On the left, the Stug battery moved to the jump-off position for the assault on Chaumont North. As the last Stugs move into position, they attract attention from the objective. So the attack begins. 5th Sherman gets spotted in Chaumont North, and the newly spotted Sherman platoon in the distance join in the fight. However, the Jagdpanzer platoon leader has one of them in his sights. A duel ensues. The last Sherman in this platoon is proving particularly stubborn. But it eventually goes down. As the dust settles and the sun dips below the horizon, I gauge the results of the attack. For the loss of 4 Stugs, I've destroyed 8 Shermans. Since the start of the battle, this brings my total losses to 5 destroyed Stugs for the loss of 13 enemy Shermans. I also have 1 Stug without any weapons. I know that there is still 1 functioning Sherman in Chaumont North, plus the platoon of Shermans on Hill 480. Strategic Update 2, 16:21 hours, 21 minutes into the battle. Overall, I'm very happy with how that attack went. The losses are acceptable, although I was surprised by that last enemy platoon in the far distance. I had the firepower to see them off. Unfortunately, none of the armour up here can get eyes on the last Sherman in Chaumont North. Now that the armour battle is over, the Pioneer Company start to move out. On the left, I'm bringing my AT guns just to below the crest on Hill 490. In the centre in Chaumont, 1st Platoon of the Fallschirmjager Company are also getting ready to move out. And on the right, 2 section Jagdpanzer are slowly moving towards Chaumont. The last Sherman in Chaumont North is facing towards the northeast. This might mean there's an opportunity for one of the Jagdpanzers in 2 section to move up behind him. On the left, my AT guns start getting prepared to take on the remaining Sherman platoon to the south on Hill 480. Their movement into their firing positions will be masked by a smoke barrage from the 105s, coordinated by the forward observer. 1st Platoon of the Fallschirmjager Company edge towards Chaumont North. The Jagdpanzer from 2 section attempts to get behind the enemy Sherman in Chaumont North. Job done. Pioneer team scouts down to Bois Chaumont. The pioneers are crossing the open ground to the woods using successive bounds. Back in the centre, the fight between Chaumont and Grandue continues. One of the Jagdpanzers from one section repositions to get a better view of the centre of Chaumont. The gun damage Stug is used to test the ground by the stream. It seems okay. Suspected occupied buildings in the centre of Chaumont are hit with HE. The team from 1st Platoon Pioneers scouts through the woods. The rest of the platoon follows on behind. As they reach the other side, they get eyes on the centre of Chaumont. But the Americans also get eyes on them. First platoon of pioneers move towards the buildings using bounding overwatch. Across the valley, an MMG opens up. Under covering fire, a Fallschirmjager scout team from 1st Platoon approach the edge of Chaumont North. First Platoon start to clear the buildings. The Jagdpanzer HQ approaches the centre cautiously from the west. Many of the fleeing infantry and tank crews moved into this area. Smoke rounds from the 105 start to land on Hill 480. Strategic Update 3, 16:35 hours, 35 minutes into battle. On the left, the AT guns are still waiting for the smoke screen to amass before they move into their firing positions. The FO is handling this fire mission. Viewed from the south of the map, the smoke seems a little dispersed, but still may be effective. The Stug battery and one section Jagdpanzer are creeping around the northwest of Bois Chaumont, and the Pioneer Company have moved into Bois Chaumont. Zooming in on the Pioneer Company, 1st Platoon has taken up position on the front right of the line and is starting to cover the ground between the woods and Chaumont Centre. 2nd Platoon have formed up on their left and will be providing base of fire for this initial movement. 3rd Platoon are being kept in reserve for the moment, and the company support weapons are being divided out amongst the platoons. In the centre, the Fallschirmjager Company has started to move. 1st Platoon have moved into the north end of Chaumont North. 1 heavy machine gun and 3 Panzerschreck teams have moved in with them. The assault guns are now also able to provide close range support for the infantry. On the right, 2 section Jagdpanzer are also providing close range support for the infantry moving through Chaumont North. That concludes part 1 of this scenario entitled The Battle for Chaumont Part 2. I hope you've enjoyed this after action report so far. If you have, please like, subscribe, comment. Stay tuned for the actual part 2 of The Battle for Chaumont Part 2.